to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Well, tonight on Undaunted, we bring renewed focus on the enduring struggle of Amazonia as key developments emerge in the efforts towards a resolution in the long-standing conflict between Southern Cameroon and La Republic of Cameroon. For decades, the people of Amazonia have fought for recognition, independence, and the preservation of their distinct identity in the face of systemic annexation and assimilation. As the war escalated in 2017, the path to peace has often seemed elusive, clouded by miscommunications, political tensions, and divergent visions for the future. At the heart of today's story lies a pivotal clarification surrounding ongoing negotiations, a rare opportunity to move towards a strategic dialogue that acknowledges the true nature of the conflict as one between two sovereign nations. The leadership of Amazonia continues to assert the need for expert-led discussions, ensuring the negotiation remain grounded in the political and legal complexities of this international dispute. This shift marks a significant departure from previous mediations, which have often involved non-governmental actors, instead emphasizing the role of professionals capable of navigating the intricacies of this conflict. As Amazonia persists in its quest for freedom, these negotiations offer a crucial platform for the voices of the Amazonian people to be heard on the global stage. The evolving discourse between Amazonia and La Republic of Cameroon's representatives, with a clear focus on structured and informed dialogue, represents a decisive step forward in the broader liberation movement. This moment signals not only the recognition of the conflict's true scope, but also a commitment to resolving it in a manner that respects Amazonia's sovereignty, its people's aspiration, and their right to self-determination. With that, we head on to the prime headlines.
Stand with Amazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Amazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Amazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Amazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied.
Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless, and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international recognition.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
The moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republic has succeeded. This is about Amazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Amazonia. Donate to ABC Amba TV.
Together, let's write the next chapter of our history.
It is better to light the candle than to curse the dark.
Support ABC Amba TV campaign. Ambazonia Independence, voice for the voiceless. Mobilize for change. Stand with Ambazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have.
Well, these are the prime headlines of Undaunted tonight. Reviving community spirit, we take a look at the continued impact of Monday ghost towns in Ambazonia. In southern Cameroon's La Republique negotiations to begin. Expert to lead talk, says Dr. Martin Mungwa. The tragic incident in Babanki, talking about the colonial military continued rape and even impregnation of innocent Ambazonian women. The schools are non-functional due to the war in Ambazonia, with some neighborhoods deprived of the luxury of hosting a school. Yet we have the colonial talking about the schools in Ambazonia and normalcy returning in the southern Cameroons. On the African scene, we see Mozambique's opposition lawyer assassinated amid election tensions. And on the foreign scene, the Global Report has, with the 2024 United States presidential election just around the corner, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump intensifying their campaigns. Let's head on to the full briefings of Undaunted tonight.
Stand with Ambazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied.
Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless, and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international recognition.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
The moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republique have succeeded. This is about Ambazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Ambazonia, donate to ABC Amba TV.
Together, let's write the next chapter of our history.
It is better to light the candle than to curse the dark.
Support ABC Amba TV campaign. Ambazonia Independence, voice for the voiceless. Mobilize for change. Stand with Ambazonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied.
Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless, and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international recognition.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
The moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republic have succeeded. This is about Ambazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Ambazonia, donate to ABC Amba TV.
Together, let's write the next chapter of our history.
It is better to light the candle than to curse the dark.
Support ABC Amba TV campaign. Ambazonia Independence, voice for the voiceless. Mobilize for change. Zonia. Empower ABC Amba TV. We are calling on Ambazonians around the world to unite and uplift ABC Amba TV, Ambazonian Broadcasting Corporation. In this critical time of war, ensuring the station's survival is more important than ever. But what does ABC Amba TV truly represent for Ambazonia?
At the heart of Ambazonia's war of independence, ABC Amba TV stands as a beacon. Years of recolonization, annexation, and French Cameroon's oppressive occupation of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia have led to our exclusion. Our identity was hidden, our history distorted, our sovereignty denied.
Queen of England is aware that the British Southern Cameroons were never a colony under France.
Since its inception in 2018, ABC Amba TV has been our lifeline.
Months of diplomacy have failed to resolve the crisis as fear grows over an imminent Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Our work in the dark is our chance to tell our stories to the world, to give voice to the voiceless, and broadcast the truth of our struggle.
We are serious about executing this revolution.
It has become a vital arm of our government in wartime, making diplomacy achievable and showcasing our untold stories.
ABC Amba, you guys know how important ABC is for this, our quest for international.
Your donations can make a world of difference. Every bit of support helps keep our stories alive, our presence known, and our fight in the global conversation.
The moment they notice that we are no longer on air, they think that, oh, maybe La Republic have succeeded. This is about Ambazonia. One thing we must always remember.
Where would we be without ABC Amba TV? Let's ensure we never have to find out.
A revolution is a temporary state of insanity to bring about sanity.
Mobilize, donate, stand with Ambazonia. Donate to ABC Amba TV. Together.
Speaking of the Monday Ghost Towns, it indeed has been a while since we discussed the phenomenon of Monday Ghost Towns. However, as a traditional practice in the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, this form of civil disobedience against the colonial La Republique's annexation and assimilation agenda has persisted since the escalation of the war in 2017, and this Monday Ghost Town hasn't stopped. Amazonians are utilizing the Monday Ghost Town days to develop various roads in their neighborhoods. This initiative has strengthened the bond amongst locals as the annexationist La Republique has failed to provide such infrastructure for them. In particular, residents of Bamenda, the chief town of the Midland Zone of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, have incorporated the rehabilitation of neighborhood roads into their Monday routine. They undertake these activities in a manner that respects the Monday Ghost Towns, which requires all Amazonians to remain in their communities, in their neighborhoods, refraining from opening stores, shops, or engaging in commercial activities such as running taxi, commercial activities like that. By mobilizing the youth to participate in this road construction, so to put, on Mondays, the community spirit that fueled many development projects in Ambazonia is being rekindled. Now, this strategy empowers Ambazonians to take charge of their development rather than relying on the La République du Cameroon colonial government, which has shown a vested interest in undermining the economy of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. The concept of Monday Ghost Town was instituted in January 2017 by the Ambazonian government as a civil disobedience strategy against La République du Cameroon, its colonial administration. Since the establishment of the Ghost Town Mondays, it have become silent across the entire Federal Republic of Ambazonia, with markets closed, transportation companies halted, and offices locked on that day. Well, as time progresses, Ambazonians have been adopting various activities to keep themselves occupied while adhering to the Monday Ghost Towns. Well, one recently embraced initiative is the focus of these types of community works aside the exercises on Monday, aimed at rehabilitating roads that have been neglected by the colonial regime. Monday Ghost Towns, the traditional practice of the southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, indeed have continued unabated since the war escalated in 2017. This ongoing struggle reflects the resilience and the determination of the Amazonian people to assert their identity and autonomy. The commitment to this ghost town symbolizes more than just a refusal to comply with colonial policies. It embodies the collective desire for liberation and self-determination, though not only protesting against oppression, but also actively participating in the reclamation of their land and resources, paving the way for a future free from colonial domination. The spirit of resistance and community development will undoubtedly play a crucial role in the quest for independence and justice. It is a good way to start our Monday, seeing it's a Monday Ghost Town and still being productive. We have in the studio with us Barrister Mbeseha. Good evening, Barrister.
Good evening. Thank you for having me once more.
It's always a pleasure. Well, like we've talked about this before, we've talked about respecting the ghost towns while trying to develop it, not going across the point where it becomes a disrespect to the Monday ghost towns. The people of Ambazonia, they have continued in their quest to better their lives, better the roses. They cannot leave that for La République du Cameroon because that's going to be a forever timing to happen. Amazonians have taken it upon themselves while still respecting the boundaries of staying in their neighborhoods to carry out this very productive practice. What would you say about this, looking at your stance from it the last time and right now?
What I would say is probably just to emphasize what I said before. You said in your introductory segment that ghost towns are symbolic civil disobedience against the state institutions. Civil disobedience because ghost town, you're not carrying any cutlass, you're not carrying any spear, you're just sitting in your house, doing whatever thing you want to do for yourself. If there's anything that has been successful 100%, acknowledged by Yaoundé and the world over in this struggle, it is ghost town. It is Monday ghost town. It's almost 100% respected. Yaoundé acknowledges that they have not been able to stop the ghost town. Foreign embassies in Yaoundé acknowledge that. Any other person acknowledges that. And so what the issue now is, what can you do or not do during the ghost town? I had the opportunity to say before that ghost town is not a punishment for you in your house, you and your wife and your family. So if you go behind your house and make a vegetable garden, or simply deploy to your whatever thing you want to do privately, that's good enough. It is not meant for you to close your house. It's meant for government office to shut down, for public space to be shut down. Maybe except hospitals, but it's meant for public space. Your house is not public space. Your private garden behind your house is not public space. Your farm, cocoa farm in the bushes, is not public space. So you can do all that. But the problem is, you can even go fix your roads. But the problem is, going to fix your road, or call it construct, or do anything to the road, is a good idea. But how do you manage this to make sure that somebody does not intrude into that activity and seek to manipulate it to become a government event? That's what is important there. Because coincidentally, most of the people on the home front doing those jobs, they live in the communities with the so-called councillors. They live with the mayors. They even live with the duos. The only difference being that most of the duos are not the aborigines of those areas. So you should be careful not to be manipulated. Government is an intelligent government. They are very clever. They know how they can manipulate you. So if you go to fix your road or fix a bridge that links a country to the other one, that's good. But if in that process, for example, you have a mayor, you have a councillor who sits with you there, who benefits from the road, it's quite good. But if he will come out and wear his mayoral attire, wear his cap, carry his badge, to portray himself as acting there as a governor, as a mayor, or whatever official capacity, don't accept. That is pure manipulation. It's trying to manipulate you because they will take pictures of you, take it to CRTV, and show how government had organized a Monday keep Bamilekes clean, the Monday keep Manfe or Boya clean, the Monday community development for fixing roads. Because we are used to community development, that's what they will do. So you should be very, very careful to draw the line between what you do, what is going to be effective, what is allowed in ghost town, what is not allowed. Again, ghost towns are not individual punishments. They are meant to show the public they are disobeying the public authorities. They are showing to the world that the public space controlled by the government is not working. What does this public space include? It includes schools. It includes transportation. Before we came online, I noticed something happened in Mungwa today. They alleged that a driver was caught by amber, wounded seriously, his fingernails cut, and then he was lying in the hospital because he had just dropped his passengers. This is Monday. As awful as that, as long as we don't even know who did it, the question is, why was this driver driving on a ghost town day to be picking and dropping his passengers? That is ghost town day. It did not exclude drivers driving from one point to the other, especially public transport drivers. And so if you go out like that, you are being manipulated knowingly or unknowingly. It means you're not respecting ghost town. And whatever thing befalls you, it befalls you. I just gave that as an example. I saw this morning being reported from Equinox Pigeon News. And this was happening in Boya. And this is Monday. The question, the bottom line is, Why was this driver picking passenger left and right in the morning of a ghost town day Monday? And so back to your question again, let me emphasize the lockdown, the ghost town days, which are only one in a week officially for now, it's on a Monday. And so if you choose to go and make a vegetable farm behind your house, that's a private space for you. If you choose to be your bathroom, that's a private space for you. But if you choose to organize yourself as a community, to build a bridge, to fix a bridge, a gutter, be careful, make sure this group activity is not transformed into government organized activity to defeat
Vice
the
Mbeseha, you
purpose
couldn't have
of
said that any more correctly when you talk about the government, the colonial government manipulating these acts that seem noble in themselves to look like they're preaching of normalcy is what it actually is. So you couldn't have said that any better. Amazonians should indeed be aware of the chance of the colonial regime to manipulate the situation. But speaking of the struggle and moving it forward, we have Dr. Martin Mungwa, the Amazonian spokesperson, who has clarified misunderstandings and miscommunications surrounding negotiations between Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon, La République. Well, this talks facilitated by the governor, the person of Sako, President Sako, and La République representatives acknowledged the right to hold meetings while recognizing the conflict's nature as a dispute between two nations, each represented by the respective armies. Expert-led negotiations are emphasized as Dr. Mungwa stresses that professionals, rather than clergy or civil society organizations, will represent both governments. And this approach underscores the need for strategic and informed dialogue. Well, let's take a listen to this audio from Dr. Martin Mungwa first.
Alert. This is Dr. Martin Mungwa, Secretary of State for Communication and IT for the government of the Federal Republic of Southern Cameroon, Mbeseha. Today is October 19th, 2024. Dear Amazonians, dear AS, I come today for bring clarity on some message where the President gave me a while ago regarding the negotiations where will take place between Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroon. First, I want to make it very clear. So that negotiation will take place between the belligerents. It means that the people who are actively at war, and that is the B and the Ambazonian State Army. These are the two protagonists in this war. Now the two people that do where they fight for this war. And just like in Fumban, the negotiations will take place between Django Fancha and Amadou Ahijo. Now the same scenario where you happen this time will be between the government of Dr. Samuel Komosako and La République du Cameroon, whoever be their president. And therefore, we have to be careful when we hear this communique will be sent out by La République du Cameroon agents, including the Honorable Archbishop Andrew Kier, Moderator Funky Samuel, Dr. Fontem Niba, and McFarlane Njo, aka International Communities Organization. This one, the civil society organizations, and in as much as they get the right for hold their meetings, I don't think say not them who should not for table for negotiate with La République du Cameroon. We all know say La République du Cameroon always like for choose with leaders, but this time nothing will work. So it be very important for everybody to understand. Say this fight now between two countries, and each country be represented by an army. And anybody will not be in control of an army in a good position for that table. And furthermore, I want to also make it very clear. Say in as much as the two governments, it being experts from these two governments when they should on the table. So we'll get experts from La République du Cameroon and experts from the Federal Republic of Mbeseha. Now, the second point where I want to talk about is There is all this talk around, say, Anglophone Bamilekes or Bamilekes say, we are brothers, we have to come together, this and that. I just want to advise them. Say the best way they fit one for their interest. Now say, may they get rid of Paul Biya. If they get rid of Paul Biya, they fit do whatever they want. We also get to remind these people, say in the 60s and 70s, we will welcome them with open arms for our country when they be chased them out of their own country. And today, now these same people, them, they deformed Biya, so they can't kill we. And they turn around now to say we'll be brothers and sisters. I don't even know the definition of those words now, in light of which we really don't want for people. So when they spend their time for see how to get rid of Paul Biya, not for the promise we, heaven and earth, say we'll come together, we'll form 10 states on 200 states. We get enough countries where we turn them into states. And another thing say, now through associating ourselves with them, we will get a better future. So I humbly advise them, say, may they put all their energies together for fight Biya, just as they will put all their energies together for fight we in favor of Biya. They give money for Biya, say they can't kill we. And now they turn around for talk, say, we'll be friends or we'll be brothers or whatever. So I want to make these 2 points then very clear. And in summary, the negotiation between La République du Cameroon and the Federal Republic of Ambazonia will be performed by experts from both groups, from both countries, not civil society organizations headed by maybe a clergy or clergies and some other civil society members. They get right to think about whatever they feel about the future of our country. If they feel it be of validity, may they submit them for the government of the Federal Republic of Southern Cameroon when they'll put them on table with other measures the way we believe say they'll consider them during this negotiation period. And also finally, we just want to advise Bamileke people, so they use all their money and all their energies for get rid of Paul Biya. If they get rid of Paul Biya and try to work out a better system for themselves, I think ultimately we'll become good neighbors, because now all way we want to achieve as Southern Cameroonians. We want to be good neighbors. We not necessarily get for the embrace each other as if we are children from the same parents, which is obviously not true, because we get two separate cultures and two separate values. And these values, they don't prove over 70 years, say not be interchangeable. And therefore, they get to stay for their part of the world and we stay on our part of the world. And we can always meet as neighbors with a common boundary for work together for the better of the world or better of the region. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Oh, well, in that audio, you will notice how Dr. Martin Mungwa reminds the Bamileke community of their historical ties to Southern Cameroon, where they sought refuge after being displaced by La République. He encourages the Bamileke to prioritize self-sufficiency than support the presidential Paul Biya's regime. Well, key points from Dr. Martin Mungwa's statement include the negotiation framework, which he talks about in details, talking about expert-led talks between Southern Cameroon's and La République government, not by clergies. Representation, professional, in his words, not clergies or civil society, will have to represent both sides, professionals. Bamileke relations, he talked about the historical ties between the Bamilekes and Southern Cameroons, highlighted as well. The self-sufficiency, talking about the Bamilekes and urging them to prioritize resource management over supporting Biya's regime. Well, this development reflects the complex dynamic at play in the Southern Cameroon's war, with President Biya's government facing ongoing challenges as well. Barrister Mbeseha, looking at this particular message from Dr. Martin Mungwa, a pertinent question here is something of interest, talking about the Bamileke people, what are the challenges and potential benefit of highlighting the historical ties between the Bamileke people and Southern Cameroons in the context of the current Amazonian War of Independence? And in what way could the encouragement for the Bamileke community to prioritize self-sufficiency and resource allocation influence the regional dynamics and relations with the La République du Cameroon government?
I think Dr. Mungwa made a very important and explicit outing there. But let me make it simpler for people to understand. It is not about Paul Biya's regime. Now, if they push out Paul Biya, that's not enough. The Bamilekes is not even enough. I would rather say the Bamilekes and other interested French or foreign members of Cameroon in Amazonia. And I said it's not only Bamilekes alone. 2 days ago, we had this discussion. I said, if you go to Kumba, for example, before you get to the park, Boya Road, you're going to find a whole quartier they call Yaoundé Quarter. These are not Bamileke people. These are Wondos and Bassas. And there's some of them there. If you go to Tico, you have a Bassa Quarter, where a Bassa guy even became an MP from Tico. So it's larger than Bamileke. But what do they represent? They represent a people who fled from punishment, who fled from tyranny to seek security somewhere else. And after they fled and settled somewhere else where they thought they were safe, and they are still safe, important things came up to be decided. The future of the area where they settled. So the issue is, where is the allegiance? Even if Paul Biya is no longer there, if the allegiance is still with Yaoundé, it doesn't make much of a difference. And I'll make this illustration to show what it is all about. Most of us who live in the United States know something they call the Irish Americans. The Irish Americans are people who escaped from Ireland. They escaped from Ireland centuries back. What did they escape from Ireland for? They escaped for religious freedom. They wanted where they could express their religion freely. And they settled in the Americas, most of which were UK colonies. They settled in Virginia, they settled in different states today. Those states were still British colonies. And when the time came for independence, to fight against the British to obtain American independence, where did the allegiance of these Irish people who had fled from Ireland in the UK to the US? Where was the allegiance? Was the allegiance still with Ireland, which then is still part of the UK, or the allegiance was with their newfound country, the United States? The bulk of them chose to become American citizens. And because they were American citizens, they joined the fight. They fought in the war to liberate America, their newfound land. And because they embraced that notion that, well, who came here for freedom, who found freedom, who have become part of this community, they also have risen politically and otherwise to the top of American society. Many of us will remember a guy they call John F. Kennedy. He was the president of the United States. That was an Irish descendant whose parents came here, settled in the United States. They adopted the United States as their own homeland, politically, militarily, and otherwise. They fought for it. And their own son rose up to become the president of the United States, John F. Kennedy. We still remember of Barack Obama. His father came in as a visitor. It delivered him as a black guy. He grew up here, he studied here, he adopted America as his country. That's his country of birth. That's his country of origin. That's the country where he belongs. And then he has risen up to the level of a president of the United States. And there are many others like that who are in Congress, who are in the Senate, and so on and so forth. So our visiting communities from the Bamilekes, because they are the largest one, the Owondos, the Bassas, whoever escaped to join us because they were in distress between 1950 and 1960, because they were escaping from the tyranny of Yaoundé and France, who came to settle with us. A bulk of them are dead. Most of them are dead. But their offspring are still there. Where is the allegiance? Are they with the Ambazonian? Are they fighting with us? If they are fighting with us, so be it. But how do they show their allegiance? Are they drafting with us? Are they demonstrating with us? That's how we identify who we are with. And so, for those people, the Bamilekes, because they are the largest group, some of them are my friends, who still think that it's better for them, for example, to stay in Bamenda or stay in Kumba. These are two largest towns. We stay in Tico and belong to East Cameroon because they want to cross the border without laissez-passer. They want just to go back and visit their brother without laissez-passer. And so they think that's the best way to go about it. No. I think I mentioned the Bamilekes because when this war started, I think there's evidence that was shown that Bamilekes were contributing money to finance Yaoundé. They come and kill their own brothers, the people who took them for brothers, kept them, protected them. And then now they are fighting back. And they are not with us. So if you're not with us, you're not with us. If you're with us, you're with us. And you must show that you're with us. One, draft. Even in this draft, what people would draft anonymously. You're free to say, I'm drafting, I don't want my name to be out. That will still be draft. If you are bold enough to say, okay, I will take up arms with Ambazonian, that's great. And there are so many arms you can take. You can carry the gun to the bush. You can be one of them, sitting here and talking like me, defending this cause. We will know that he or she is with us. And so there's no way it cannot be two persons at the same time. It cannot be an Ambazonian at the same time and a citizen of the Republic of Cameroon. Now, if you're Ambazonian, you lose your citizenship of the Republic. I fight for the country to which you belong. And so that's what it is. If that statement is okay, if that equation is okay, I will let it go. But otherwise, if you want me to develop what Dr. Mungwa said further, I will gladly do it.
Okay, so Barrister Mbeseha, during the voice note, the voice message from Dr. Martin Mungwa, we heard Dr. Martin Mungwa emphasizing on the talks rather, to not be by clergymen or civil societies. Now, how does this decision to have professionals lead the negotiations this time rather than clergy or civil society organizations impact the potential outcomes of the talks between Southern Cameroon and La République du Cameroon?
Well, the short and simple is this. Whether the mediator is a clergy or any other person else, it's not important. The important thing is that whoever is going to be the mediator shall be a person accepted by both parties. Yeah, they cannot impose a mediator on us. Talk less of the Presbyterian Church. The moderator of the church is just a citizen. He's also a Cameroonian. The bishop of Bamenda, Archbishop, is also a Cameroonian. He's an Ambazonian. But the bishop represents something different. The bishop has a hierarchy that goes up to become a nation called the Vatican. Suppose, for example, they were to turn to the Vatican to become the mediator. I am 100% sure that the Vatican will not appoint any of his bishops in Cameroon. Because they appoint, for example, Nkia or Funky, these people cannot be accepted as mediators because they have a conflict of interest. The Ambazonians, they cannot be a judge over their own matter. No matter the position they take, the Ambazonians, because they will have a conflict of interest in doing it. If the Vatican would intervene, for example, at the level of the Vatican, it's a country. The thing that the Vatican will do is to appoint some other, if they need a bishop, an archbishop, a cardinal, from somewhere else, subject to the acceptance of that candidate, of that person, by Ambazonian government, one, and the Republic government, two. So the choice of a mediator is not somebody who volunteer it, one. It must be accepted by two. The venue of where we will meet to decide, to discuss, it's not something for Yaoundé to impose. It's not something for us to impose. The venue must also be accepted by both parties. And so it's a misnomer, it's a misunderstanding that they don't know. If that addresses that issue of the clergy, I'd like to continue further to other aspects of what Dr. Mungwa said.
All right, Barrister Mbeseha, that indeed gives more enlightenment to the conversation in question. But then we'll move over to the rest of Amazonian reports. What is happening on the home front? Well, it is the same thing, the reality the Amazonians face and what the colonial regime tries to propagate to the international community and the rest of the world. Well, a one-time famous industry in the former British Southern Cameroon, today the Federal Republic of Amazonia, the education industry, a rich aspect of Amazonia, is now a mere shadow of itself. The educational industry was the lone industry that animated the economy of Amazonia, given that the colonial regime of octogenarian or now nonagenarian Paul Biya decided not to plant any industry in Amazonia. The educational system in the Federal Republic of Amazonia was cherished even by the French Cameroonians. Top La République du Cameroon colonial government officials sent their children to study in Amazonian schools. That is the history of Amazonian education because of the standards it upheld. With the advent of the ongoing war in Amazonia, schools have been one of the areas attacked by the colonial army. The colonial army is guilty of burning down schools in Amazonia. Many schools are non-functional as a result of insecurity. Children in areas where the lone school is no longer functioning are forced to walk long distances or incur extra costs of transportation, with some abandoning school. Undaunted, today, October 21st, visited a La Republique-run secondary school in the Ngomgam, one of the quarters in Bamenda, that has been abandoned. The buildings are in ruins and covered in grasses. Despite the paralyzed nature of education, with many abandoned, some colonial administrators kept spreading fake news that things were fast returning to normalcy. They're more concerned about portraying this lie as opposed to the reality, portraying this lie of normalcy when they could actually do something about bringing this war to an end, or at least speaking the truth to the world and not deceiving the world with the lies of normalcy. When we see schools in ruins, schools that have not been attended for even years now, we still have the colonial administration and the colonial stooges talking about normalcy returning to the southern Cameroons and everything being in order. Well, Barrister Mbeseha, you know more than I do what the history of Amazonian education has been, and looking at it in ruins right now with the continued propagation of lies of normalcy. Would like to hear your thoughts in this regard.
Yes, I will gladly give my thoughts. But if you permit me, we're not finished with Dr. Mungwa. There are other things Dr. Mungwa said which require clarification. And I plead you to let me
Certainly,
go back
please
to that
do.
segment.
Certainly.
Because that is important. Dr. Mungwa said, and that is our thing, that he referred to Fumba, that there will only be the parties to the conflict will be the ones to sit on the table. I referred to Fumba, and I want to go back to it and let us know that what we're saying as this government is not an invention. We've always said that the history of Amazonia, Southern Cameroon, is a historically documented history. What was Fumban and what happened in Fumban? We're not going to discuss what happened there. We're going to discuss those who sat in the conference in Fumban for them to realize what Dr. Mungwa is talking about. Fumban was as a result of Resolution 1608. The parties, the government of West Cameroon, Southern Cameroon, the government of Cameroon, the Republic of Cameroon, and the administrative authority would meet. These are the three parties. But it was, say, never met, but they attempted to meet. That's what is referred to as Fumban. July 17th, 1961. What was the composition of the parties? Foncha went to Fumban with a large delegation of people. In fact, a delegation of 50 people. But these people were identified, but they fell under the delegation of the government of Southern Cameroon. They were properly documented. I have them here with their names. Who were those people and what did they represent? They had members of government, that's government ministers inside there. They had representatives of political parties, notably KNDP, CPNC, and even the OK, The OK that had only one parliamentarian in the West Cameroon, the Southern Cameroon House of Assembly, was represented by two delegates. Among them, Abed Mukom. We also had the technical staff. That, for example, was led by Fonglong. He went there as an interpreter. And so you find that the composition of the West Cameroon government was so big and comprehensive. What a delegation of chiefs, House of Chiefs, and important responsibilities. All of this jointly formed one delegation of Ambazonia, headed by Foncha. So Foncha did not ignore the fact that within the southern Cameroon where he was, there were different components there. For example, CPNC of Ndele was fighting that we should go to Nigeria. They didn't win the plebiscite, but they constituted part of the delegation. And so they were globally put together and called the Delegation of Southern Cameroon, headed by Foncha alone. And so they went like that with 50 people representing this group. So how shall back to Southern Cameroon? Before I go back to Southern Cameroon, Ahijo came there with a delegation of 12. These are 12 names here. His delegation, because it was already an independent country, his delegation of 12 represented ministries. They had the foreign ministry represented there, what the Ministry of Territorial Administration represented there, what representative of the Prime Minister, the technical advisors in the presidency, and so on and so forth. All of them formed a delegation of 12 to represent Cameroon. No matter the size, they were big in population, bigger than Southern Cameroon, 3.2 million. Southern Cameroon, 800,000. We produced 50 people. Despite their size, they produced 12. But there were two equal delegations, equal in status. And so, back to what Dr. Mungwa was saying and addressing Ambazonians. What does it mean? Because we've seen this happening all the time. And this is sink to the heads of our people. Anybody who is thinking that at the appropriate time, you will find a delegation on the table sitting in the name of SCNC, for example, in the name of SCAPO, for example, in the name of Consortium, for example, or all those other groups, you are deceiving yourself. We will not lose sight of the fact that those groups exist. But if they must sit on the table, they will constitute part of the delegation of West Cameroon, Ambazonia. As Foncha went to that place with 50 people, as Dr. Mungwa said, did they expect 50 people to sit on the conference table and draw up the constitution? Because Fuman was about the constitution. No. That was the public show of the delegation, which ended with speeches. The opening speech was made by Ahijo. Another speech was made by Foncha. And the second speech was made by Ndele, who was not even wanting us to join them. Those were the public declarations of the thing. If Fumban had succeeded, again, if Fumban had succeeded to continue, that delegation of 50 people would have chosen, not even among themselves, they would have had their own experts in constitutional development. Experts probably would not be up to 10, who had expertise in drawing up constitutions, who would sit on the table with a delegation of East Cameroon, or Cameroon, and draw up a constitution. But I said, if we had succeeded, it failed. Because that conference, after 2 days, did not even give Foncha the opportunity to bring his own experts, his constitutional experts, to sit together with the experts from Yaoundé. They didn't even give them the opportunity. Because they have already drawn up a constitution by amending their constitution by themselves, adopting it 2 weeks after that, and imposing it on us. So this is just to explain that what the people, the parties to the negotiation are going to be constituted. The SCNC, again, if I say, we don't call them political parties, just like CPNC, just like OK was in West Cameroon. They will sit in that delegation if they still consider themselves Ambazonians. They will not impose a will. They will not go and take a seat, because I saw something happening in Canada. People sitting there say, oh, I'm for SCNC. Another can say, oh, I'm for women, whatever, I'm a Takumba woman. All claiming to be talking for Ambazonia. Other one talking for consortium. That disorder is not going to work. and again, even to get to that point, there will be agreement between the West Cameroon, the Ambazonian delegation, and Yaoundé. Those are the two parties to the conflict. What would they be agreeing? They will be agreeing on the venue, one. They will be agreeing on the mediator. This has not happened since we started. That's why Canada 1 failed, Canada 2 failed, Canada 3 failed. Because all these Canadas, call it CPDM, call it CDN, or call it pre-talks. They were all talks between among Ambazonians themselves. They were not talks between Ambazonia and Yaoundé. They were talking to themselves. And so they could not constitute a delegation. Because after all, where is Yaoundé going to go? Why are we talking about delegation? The idea is to end the war. Because if there's no war, they will not be talking all this. SCNC cannot end the war. They are not fighting anywhere. The consortium cannot end the war. They are not fighting anywhere. All these other parties that saw FRAP or whatever they call it, they are not fighting the war. If you are the ones the war to end, they have to talk to the right party, as we have said. We have gone back to 1961 and reinstated the government that was referred to in the 1608 resolution, the government of Southern Cameroon. We have reconstituted it today in exile because there is no space for us to sit in war. They have occupied the space by killing our own people. So there is no way we can sit there and do it, but we can freely operate from exile with all these institutions and the human persons behind it. The human persons behind it will include the first person you know is President Sago. Fakou is not a ghost, he's a human being. He talks. And so that's why he talks. But let me now go back to your original question. Education, that was what he wanted us to discuss. Education, we all know it. We knew what education meant in Southern Cameroon. We know what education is today. And I would suspect very, very strongly that all these, our pastors, our moderators, our bishops, the bulk of them, if not all of them, if they were born in 1960, they were so young, they were babies. You don't know what happened. They probably have read it, but they were practically there. But I can say, without mincing words, I was there. By 1961, 62, I left primary school. So I was ready. By 1964, I was teaching. I taught. So I know what education meant. It was what it was supposed to be. I did not only teach. I went to teacher training. I'm trained to teach, train how to build schools, train how to manage schools. So in terms of education, in that angle, I can claim myself. I can style myself an expert to a limited extent. So what is going on there is a total failure of education. Even Yaoundé agrees. The schools that they call schools are abandoned. Even before they were abandoned, would they be called schools? They were not schools. That is why the idea of education was at the basis of the 2016 dispute, which has resulted in this. They were not schools. They were shadows of schools. Call schools in name and transformed to Francalinga schools. You didn't know where you were learning French or you were learning English. The French was not good. The English was not good. What is between? What in the middle? Nothing. And so our people make the mistake to compare, for example. So where schools are going on in Ambazonia, because after the GCE board is there, people are passing the GCE. No, the quality of the education is not based on the results from the GCE. The GCE board is just an examination board that organizes exams. Anybody can write examination under the GCE board. A Chadian can register to write. A Japanese can register to write. Before the GCE board came, before they even got it, who wrote the GCE? Who wrote the GCE under the London GCE? I wrote the London GCE. I've never been to London. But we read under their school program, we wrote the London GCE, the London Examination Board declared us successful. So the success in the GCE is not a standard for qualifying the education that we have in Ambazonia as good. Because A good number of the refugees, internally displaced, you call them whatever you call, will find themselves in Douala or somewhere else. They go to schools. The bulk of them are private schools. Those are the who remain, still go to schools. They go to Sacred Heart. They go to Seka. These are not government schools. These are schools that are properly orientated, properly run by missionary organizations. And so our schools are a shadow of the schools. And as we speak, unfortunately, in 1972, when they abolished the federation, the Amazonian public was deceived to turn to something they call government schools. Until then, there were very few, if at all, any government schools in Amazonia. No, schools were privately run and sponsored by what they call grants in aid. Those schools were run by missionaries. They were run by councils. Even councils were called any school. They were voluntary agencies. Government only funded them and guided the program. And the schools were good. But came 1972 when they abolished the schools, when they abolished our government, that school system collapsed and tended to be replaced by government schools, which have turned out to be a total failure.
Yeah, Barrister Mbeseha, most of what you've said points to the fact that even the educational system, from what you said, the deterioration didn't only start when the war escalated. It started way before. And indeed, it really points to the colonial infiltration into Ambazonia's culture and everything that has to do with Ambazonia's pride. Well, that is why this war of liberation continues, for Ambazonians to free themselves from such invasion into their culture and what they stand by and hold there. Speaking of the war in Ambazonia, it is even interesting to look at the fact that it has affected the educational system in Ambazonia, but then we see yet another side to it, the violation of human dignity. A heart-wrenching account has emerged from Babanki, where a young woman was allegedly raped and impregnated by a military officer. The victim encountered the officer while running errands, and despite initial silence, he later assaulted her. According to the victim, she met the military officer while shopping, and the officer forcibly slept with the victim. According to the report, the victim reported the assault. But of course, it was mishandled. In a second encounter, the officer detained this same victim in his house for a week. After that, the victim was relocated to Bamenda with accommodation arranged. At the end of the day, she was discovered pregnant. Well, let's get this video of the victim.
I left home and to buy something at a store. On my way, I encountered military men because they are in our village. And this particular military man spoke to me, but I did not respond. So on my way back, he helped me and forcefully slept with me. After he slept with me, I reported the situation, but it wasn't properly handled. The second day, he met me on the road again. He took me and locked me up in his house for about a week. After 1 week, when I came out, I was sent to Bamenda and a house rented for me. After 2 weeks, I wasn't feeling fine, so I called and I was taken to the hospital. At the hospital, my mother discovered that I was pregnant. After she discovered that I was pregnant, my mother did not let me go back to the village. She threw away the phone, which I used in communicating with the military man. So currently, I am not in contact with the man and I don't know where he is. As you guys can see, this is what is happening in Babanki. This girl was raped and impregnated by the military. She was not only raped by the military, but her life as well was threatened in the village, and she was left to follow the military because she had nowhere else to run to.
Well, this just is a shocking message of how Ambazonians are abused in order to do the bidding of La Republique out of fear, from the corrupt leaders to the manipulative gendarmes. One way or another, the colonial administration and its followers are indeed taking all they can from Ambazonia and wreaking havoc through intimidations on Ambazonians. And then when we get to see images of missing persons, it is no wonder why a lot of young girls are missing. Scenarios like this all over Ambazonia, and you have people's families looking for them, with some cases being even worse. Well, what we can say right now is the fact that it's a good news that she at least is alive. But is this the first? No. And it's hardly even going to be the last with the gendarmes around in Amazonian territory. Barrister Mbeseha, we've heard this one too many times. Innocent Amazonian girls being abducted, raped, even on the roads. We've heard this one too many times. This again is yet another incident, and we still have this colonial gendarmes thinking they could stay around Amazonia and prey on the young girls.
I think this, I don't know where to start, but if you look at the picture, if we're analyzing from that picture you have shown me, I will not even describe that girl as a young woman. She's not a woman, she's a child.
Actually.
If you see her, by every judgment, if you're a psychologist, you think that child is probably 13, 14, or 15. But whatever the case, that's a minor. She's a minor. And somebody is preying on her. Somebody has preyed on her. In a regular country, that gendarme should have faced charges of rape. Not just rape, because rape of a minor, maybe, I don't have the text here. It is punishable by, say, for example, 10-year jail. That military guy would face 20 years or more. In other words, he's going to face more than the normal sentence. See, it is in simple language, what they did to her is assault. I will call it now aggravated assault. Why aggravated? It's aggravated because the assailant, the man, the assailant, was somebody in position of strength. He was a soldier. He had a gun. He had the power to threaten her. He had the power to lock her up, and he did lock her up. And so with that abuse of power that he has, at the very least, he even had government authority power, because the uniform he carries is government provided uniform. The guns he carries are government provided guns. And so it is nothing short of a war crime. He took advantage of his position in a war zone to rape a war victim. Beyond raping the war victim, he impregnated her. And who knows? Has she gone for any medical checkup to know if she was not affected in some other medical form or shape? Those are all things that should be done. Those are all things that we should document in our genocide library. Because these people can only escape so far. Luckily, she didn't die. Hope she gave birth to the baby. Hope the baby survived. And with the modern technology, DNA will, in the long run, determine who the father of that child is. And if it turns out to be that man, which I'm sure he will be, the law is so big to punish him. You cannot escape all the time. You can hide in Yaoundé, you can hide in Betua, you can hide in Garoua, but there's no way you can hide against the law, especially international law. You will fish him out, because this is aggravated assault on a child. If that man raped you, an aggravated, that will be aggravated rape, but the penalty will be different compared to the rape of a child with a man in a position of power, because that's in it. Besides that child is a child, you're not supposed to do that. And then you have all these things. This aggravation of the act is not only based on soldiers who carry guns. No. If you are a gendarme, gendarmes carry guns. If you are a DIO, an official of the state who has control, you can give command, what they call in Francophone countries, chef de terre. Yeah, chef de terre, you can command everybody there. I go into that type of thing. You have committed an aggravated crime by using your office to do what you did. Those crimes come with victims. Some people will try to blame the victim. Oh, why was she doing that? But I think what she did was the best she could do to save her life. Who knows? If she had not yielded into that, it would have killed her. So we can say that God helped her to survive. These people can escape sometimes, but they're not going to escape all the time. And again, I hope our people of the Ambazonia Genocide Library are documenting these things. To come out for a review sooner or later. Over to you.
Very important. Thank you, Barrister Mbeseha. It is just sad that this is one too many incidents. Well, thank you for putting those your thoughts in there. And it's indeed a solace to hear that they could escape one time, but of course not every time. So with that, we'll let you go now and we'll head on to the African news. As always, it is a pleasure having you join us here on Undaunted.
Thank you for having me.
All right, do have a great night, Barrister Mbeseha. Coming up next is news around Africa. And the African scene in Mozambique, opposition lawyer Elvino Diaz and senior party official Paulo Guambe were shot dead in their car late Friday in the capital Maputo. Both men were key members of the opposition party Podemos, with Diaz advising presidential candidate Venancio Mondlane. The killings occurred as the country anxiously waits for the final results of a contentious elections, where the ruling Frelimo party, in power for nearly 50 years, faces accusations of rigging and vote tampering. Gunmen chased down the pair, firing multiple rounds into their car. Videos of the crime scene showed their bullet-riddled cars with the victims inside. Podemos called the chilling evidence of the deteriorating justice system, while human rights activists labeled the incident a political assassination. Diaz had been preparing to challenge the election results in court. While Frelimo candidate Daniel Chapeau holds a significant lead, with officials results due soon. Podemos and other opposition parties, including Mondlane, have called for a nationwide strike to protest the alleged election fraud. We'll move over to Kenya and see political crisis in Kenya as Gachagua accuses President Ruto of targeted persecution. Former Kenyan Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has accused President William Ruto of orchestrating his impeachment and attempting to have him killed. Gachagua, who was recently discharged from the hospital following what he described as a life-threatening condition, recounted a year of persecution and stress under Ruto's leadership. In his first public statement since his impeachment vote, Gachagua claimed that his security detail was withdrawn during the hospital stay and that multiple attempts were made on his life through food poisoning. He cited incidents in Kisumu and Nyeri, where undercover agents allegedly attempted to poison his meals. Kenya High Court has temporarily halted the process of replacing Gachagua following the controversial impeachment vote on October 17th. Gachagua described the impeachment as politically motivated, accusing Ruto of using him for his mobilization skills during the election, but never intended to work with him. The Kenya president has yet to comment on these accusations. And with that, we're moving to see the United Nations envoy proposing partition to resolve Western Sahara conflict. The United Nations envoy for Western Sahara, Staffan de Mistura, has proposed dividing the disputed territory between Morocco and the pro-independence Polisario Front in a bid to end the decades-long conflict. The Mistura represented the idea during a closed session of the United Nations Security Council, citing the potential for a partition that would create an independent state in the southern part of the region, with Morocco retaining control over the rest under international recognition. However, both Morocco and the Polisario Front have shown little interest in pursuing the partition plan. The Polisario Front criticized the proposal for failing to guarantee the Sahrawi people's right to self-determination. Western Sahara has been a point of contention since colonial Spain withdrew in 1975, with Morocco now controlling about 80% of the territory. And in Nigeria, good news is at least 22 people who were detained have later been released by the Lagos police during a protest marking the End SARS memorial at Lekki Tollgate on Sunday. The protest commemorated those who lost their lives in 2020 when security forces opened fire on demonstrators protesting police brutality by the disbanded Special Anti-Robbery Squad, popularly called SAS. The protesters demanded the full implementation of the recommendation from the judicial panels set up after the 2020 protests. Despite their peaceful assembly, police dispersed the crowd and arrested several demonstrators, including the event's organizer. The NSAS protest continued to be a symbol of the fight against police brutality in Nigeria. And with that, we head on to the news across the globe. On the foreign scene, with the 2024 United States presidential election just around the corner, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are intensifying their campaigns. Harris has been gaining attention for her high-profile interviews, while Trump is making headlines with his large-scale rallies, including in traditionally Democratic states like California and New York. The candidates' strategies differ significantly. Harris has increased her media appearances, while Trump focuses on rallies that capture media and voters' attention, particularly from those who usually tune out political content. Trump's rallies have averaged around 5,600 attendees, similar to his 2020 and 2023 numbers, but lower than the 15,000 seen in 2021. In contrast, Harris's rallies have drawn larger crowds, averaging 13,400 attendees, with sizes ranging from 10,000 to 15,000. Both candidates remain prominent in public discourse, with 69% of Americans reporting exposure to Harris-related content and 73% to Trump-related content in the week preceding October 14th. And away from the United States election, Russia and the United States, without precondition, means that the United States is willing to engage in nuclear talks with Russia, China, and North Korea without setting any prior conditions or requirements for these discussions. Essentially, the United States is open to negotiating without insisting that the other parties meet specific demands or criteria beforehand. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov views this stance as deceptive. He believes the United States would still maintain the right to label Russia as enemy in official documents, regardless of any potential agreements reached during these talks. In the context of international diplomacy, preconditions often refer to specific actions of concessions that one party demands from another before engaging in negotiations. By foregoing preconditions, the United States aims to facilitate more open and flexible discussions. Now, Lavrov's skepticism reflects Russia's concerns about the United States' intentions and the potential implication of such talks on their national security and international relations. And away from that, South Korea's National Intelligence Service has made a significant claim identifying a North Korean missile engineer attending a Russian missile launch in eastern Ukraine. The engineer is believed to be the same individual who accompanied North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un during a munitions factory inspection last August. Facial recognition technology confirmed the engineer's identity with over 80% certainty. While the picture analyzed was taken near Ukraine's Donetsk region, reportedly a launch site for North Korean-made short-range ballistic missiles. This development suggests potential collaborations between North Korea and Russia on missile technology. Previously, North Korean threat actors compromised Russia's MPO Mashinostroyeniya, a leading missile manufacturer, through cyber espionage. Well, the key implications of this discovery includes North Korea's Russia collaboration, potential cooperation on missile development despite international sanctions, the missile proliferation. North Korea-made missiles in Ukraine raise concerns about regional security. Now, cyber espionage, North Korea's history of targeting Russian defense organizations for sensitive information. The Defense Intelligence Agency has also reported findings of North Korean missile debris in Ukraine. These revelations underscore the complexities of international relations and security dynamics. And with that, we'll head on to the recap. With our global report, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, these are our major highlights of Undaunted tonight. We saw the Monday Ghost Town, the continued impact of the Monday Ghost Towns in Ambazonia, reviving community spirit, as well as the Southern Cameroon's La Republique negotiations to begin and experts to lead talks, as we heard from Dr. Martin Mungwa. And the tragic incident in Babanki, yet again another military raping an innocent young girl and impregnating her. And then the schools, non-functional due to war in Ambazonia, with some neighborhoods deprived of the luxury of even having a school, still amid the claim of normalcy by the colonial administration. On the African scene, we saw Mozambique's opposition lawyer assassinated amid election tensions. And on the foreign scene, with the 2024 U.S. presidential election just around the corner, we saw Kamala Harris and Donald Trump intensifying their campaigns. With that, we've come to the end of Undaunted tonight, bringing into the news untold stories. We leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Good night and God bless you. Thank you for watching.